The ink stains on Emma's fingers wouldn't wash off. She scrubbed them raw in the cold water basin behind the general store, watching the black smudges fade, but never quite disappear. 3 years of pretending couldn't be undone by a moment of carelessness. But here she was, caught reading the newspaper in the back room when she thought no one was watching. "You planning to scrub those fingers clean off, miss?" The voice made her jump. Sheriff Cole Hartman stood in the doorway, his broad shoulders blocking most of the afternoon light. His hazel eyes, more green than brown today, studied her with an intensity that made her stomach drop. Before we continue with Emma and Cole's story, I'd love to invite you to take a moment to subscribe to the channel and give this video a like. Your support truly means everything to us and motivates us to bring you more quality content like this. I'm also curious, where are you listening to this story from? Let me know in the comments. Emma snatched her hands from the water, hiding them in her worn skirts. The basin was dirty, Sheriff." The basin? He stepped closer, and she could smell leather and sage on him. "That why you were holding the Rocky Mountain News upside down when I walked past the window?" Her throat went dry. "I don't know what you mean." "Emma." He said her name, like a prayer and a question all at once. "How long have you been lying?" 3 years. 3 years since she'd fled St. Louis and her guardian's suffocating control. Malcolm Pritchard had promised her dying mother he'd care for Emma, protect her inheritance until she turned 25. What he'd really wanted was to marry her himself, to legally claim the railroad stocks her father had left her. The bruises he'd given her when she refused still haunted her dreams. So she'd run, changed her name from Emma Catherine Pritchard to Emma Kate Nobody Asks Questions. Pretended she couldn't read or write because educated women drew attention. Women with money drew predators. Better to be invisible, forgettable, safe. "I'm not lying about anything." She lifted her chin, trying to look confident despite the trembling in her hands. Cole moved closer. Close enough that she had to tilt her head back to meet his eyes. He was 32, she'd learned from town gossip, and had been sheriff for 6 years. Before that, he'd been a Texas Ranger. He was fair but hard, the gossip said. Respected but alone. His wife had died of cholera 5 years ago, and he'd sworn off women entirely. "You're scared," he observed quietly. "Why?" "I'm not." "Your pulse is racing. I can see it here." He lifted one hand, stopping just short of touching the hollow of her throat. "Someone hurt you. Someone you're running from." Emma's breath caught. How did he see so much? "Let me help you." His voice dropped lower, intimate. "Whatever you're hiding from, you don't have to face it alone." "I don't need help." The lie tasted bitter. She needed help desperately. Needed money for winter supplies. Needed a way to support herself that didn't involve scrubbing floors 14 hours a day. Needed someone to believe in her for once. Cole studied her for a long moment, then stepped back. "Come to my office tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock. "Why?" "Because if you're going to survive in Silver Creek, you need to know more than just how to hide." He paused in the doorway. "And Emma, stop pretending you're not brilliant. It's a waste." He left her standing there, hands dripping, heart pounding. That night, Emma barely slept. She'd built her safety on invisibility, and Cole Hartman had just torn it down with a few words. In the morning, she almost didn't go. Almost packed her single carpet bag and ran again. But something in his eyes had been different. Not predatory like Malcolm's, not dismissive like the other men in town. He'd looked at her like she mattered. At 8 o'clock exactly, she knocked on the sheriff's office door. "Come in." Cole sat behind a desk covered in papers and maps. Morning light streamed through the window, turning his dark brown hair almost auburn. He'd rolled up his sleeves, and she could see the corded muscle in his forearms, the old scars that marked his skin. "I'm here," she said unnecessarily. "Good." He stood, and she was reminded again how tall he was. At least 6'3", built like a man who'd spent his life working hard and fighting harder. "Sit down. We're going to have an honest conversation." Emma perched on the edge of a chair, ready to bolt. Cole leaned against the desk, crossing his arms. "Your name isn't Emma Kate. You're educated. I'd guess finishing school, maybe even some college. You're running from someone back east, someone with money and power. And you chose to hide by pretending to be someone you're not." Each word hit like a bullet. "How?" "I'm a lawman, Emma. It's my job to see what people try to hide." He tilted his head. "The question is, do you want to keep running? Or do you want to build a real life? What kind of life can I build here?" Bitterness crept into her voice. "I clean rooms at the boarding house. I'll never save enough to what? Buy property? Start a business?" Cole pushed off the desk and crouched in front of her chair, bringing his eyes level with hers. "You could do those things if you stopped hiding." "Easy for you to say. You're not." She stopped herself. "Not what? A woman?" His smile was gentle. "You're right. But I know what it's like to feel trapped by circumstances, to think you're protecting yourself by shutting down." There was pain in his eyes, old and deep. His wife, Emma, realized. He was still trapped by grief. "What are you proposing?" she asked carefully. "Work for me. My office needs someone who can read and write well, organize records, help with correspondence. I can pay you 3 times what you make at the boarding house." Emma's heart leaped. "Why would you do that?" "Because I see a woman worth saving." He said it simply, like stating a fact. "And because this town needs people who are smarter than they look. You're both." She wanted to accept. God, how she wanted to. But fear clawed at her throat. "If I use my real skills, if I'm visible, he'll find me." "Who will find you?" Emma closed her eyes. The whole story spilled out. Malcolm Pritchard, the inheritance, the forced engagement, the bruises, the desperate midnight flight to Colorado territory. When she finished, tears tracked down her cheeks. Cole's jaw was tight, a muscle jumping beneath his skin. "This man, Malcolm Pritchard, he put his hands on you?" She nodded mutely. "Where did he hurt you?" His voice was very soft, very dangerous. "It doesn't matter now. Show me." Something in his tone made her obey. Slowly, she pulled back the sleeve of her dress, revealing the faded scar on her upper arm, where Malcolm had grabbed her so hard the bruise had taken months to fade. Cole's fingers hovered over the mark, not quite touching. "I'll die before I let anyone hurt you again." He said it like a vow. "Do you understand me, Emma? You're not property. You're not something to be owned. You're a person, and you deserve to be treated like one." Fresh tears came. No one had ever said anything like that to her before. "Work for me," Cole said again. "Use your real name if you want, or keep the one you chose. But stop making yourself small. I'll teach you to shoot, to ride, to defend yourself. And if Malcolm Pritchard comes looking for you," his smile was cold as winter, "he'll have to go through me first." Emma made her decision. "All right. Yes. Good." He stood, offering his hand. When she took it, his palm was warm and rough against hers, and something electric passed between them. Cole felt it too. She saw him go very still, his eyes darkening. "Tomorrow," he said, his voice rougher than before. "Bring your things to the room above the office. You'll live there. Safer that way." "I can't just—" "You can. You will." He released her hand slowly. "Go pack. I'll help you move this afternoon." The next 3 weeks transformed Emma's life. Working for Cole meant long hours organizing legal documents, writing letters, even helping investigate minor crimes. He taught her to shoot a rifle with deadly accuracy, to read tracks in the dust, to watch for trouble before it arrived. They worked side by side every day, and slowly, Emma began to see beneath Cole's hard exterior. He was patient when she made mistakes, generous with praise when she did well. He made terrible coffee, but excellent stew. He was kind to children and animals. He read poetry when he thought no one was watching. And he never, ever touched her without permission. That last part drove Emma slowly mad. She found herself inventing reasons to stand close to him, to brush against his arm, to meet his eyes across the office. The awareness between them grew thick as smoke. But Cole kept himself carefully distant. "Why?" she finally demanded one evening as they locked up the office. "Why do you act like I'll break if you get too close?" Cole froze, his hand on the door. "Emma, I'm not your wife." She said it bluntly, watching him flinch. "I'm not going to die on you, but you're treating me like I'm made of glass." He turned slowly. In the lamplight, his face was all hard planes and shadows. "You don't know what you're asking. I'm asking you to see me, really see me." She stepped closer, close enough to feel the heat radiating off him. "I'm asking you to stop hiding behind walls you built 5 years ago. You're my employee. That's an excuse." She lifted her hand, pressing her palm flat against his chest. His heart thundered beneath her fingers. "You feel this too. Don't pretend you don't." For a long moment, Cole just stood there, breathing hard. Then his hand came up to cover hers. "Emma, if I start this, I won't be able to stop. I'll want everything." "Good," she whispered, "because I'm tired of being half alive." He kissed her then, one hand cupping the back of her head, the other sliding to her waist. It was gentle at first, questioning, but when Emma pressed closer, Cole's control snapped. He walked her backward until her spine hit the wall, never breaking the kiss, and Emma felt alive for the first time in years. When they finally broke apart, both breathing raggedly, Cole rested his forehead against hers. "I can't lose you," he said hoarsely. "I won't survive it." "Then don't lose me." She kissed him again, softer this time. "Just love me. I already do." The confession seemed torn from somewhere deep inside him. "God help me, Emma. I already do." They were married 3 days later by the town minister, with half of Silver Creek in attendance. Emma wore a simple blue dress, and Cole couldn't stop staring at her like she'd hung the moon. When the minister pronounced them husband and wife, Cole kissed her thoroughly enough to make several elderly ladies fan themselves. That night, in the room above the office that was now their home, Cole undressed Emma with shaking hands. Every button, every ribbon seemed to take an eternity. "Go slow," she whispered when he laid her back on the bed. "It hurts to want you this much." "I'll die before I hurt you," he promised, and proved it with every gentle touch, every whispered endearment, every kiss pressed to skin that had never known tenderness before. Afterward, Emma lay in his arms, feeling safer than she'd ever felt in her life. "Together," she said softly. Cole's arms tightened around her. "Together," he echoed. "Always." For 2 months, they were perfectly happy. Emma blossomed in her new role, helping Cole solve cases with her sharp mind and attention to detail. The town came to respect her, even seek her counsel. She learned to ride and shoot, to track and hunt. Cole taught her to be strong, and she taught him to be soft again. Then Malcolm Pritchard arrived in Silver Creek. Emma was at the general store when she saw him through the window. Terror flooded her system so completely she couldn't breathe. Malcolm looked the same. Tall, refined, cold-eyed. He was talking to the store owner, showing him something. A photograph, Emma realized with dread. Her photograph. She ran. Cole found her at home, shaking so hard she couldn't stand. "Emma, Emma, talk to me. He's here." The words came out broken. "Malcolm, he's looking for me." Every muscle in Cole's body went rigid. "Where?" "The general store." "Cole, he'll do nothing." Cole's voice was steel. "Stay here. Lock the door. Don't open it for anyone but me." "Cole, he's dangerous." "So am I." He kissed her hard, fast. "Trust me." Cole found Malcolm Pritchard at the hotel, ordering whiskey like he owned the place. The man was exactly as Emma had described: wealthy, polished, predatory. Malcolm Pritchard. Cole's hand rested casual on his gun belt. Malcolm turned, eyeing Cole's badge. "Sheriff." "Yes, I'm looking for a young woman. Emma Catherine Pritchard. She's my ward, and she's been missing for 3 years." "Is that so?" "She's not well." Malcolm's smile was practiced, sympathetic. "Mentally fragile. I'm here to take her home, back to proper care." Cole's blood boiled, but his face stayed impassive. "And if this woman doesn't want to go?" "She doesn't know what she wants. That's the nature of her illness." Malcolm pulled out legal papers. "I have full guardianship until she's 25. She's only 23. Cole glanced at the papers. They looked legitimate. Even if this woman was here, guardianship doesn't mean ownership. She's a legal adult. In her condition. "Let me be clear, Pritchard." Cole leaned in close. "If you've come here to hurt a woman under my protection, you'll leave in a pine box. Understood?" Malcolm's mask slicked, showing the cruelty beneath. "Your protection? Has she spread her legs for you, Sheriff? That's her way, seduction and lies." Cole's fist connected with Malcolm's jaw before he could think. The man went down hard, blood spattering his expensive suit. "Get up," Cole growled. "Get up so I can do that again." Malcolm spat blood. "You just assaulted me. I'll have your badge." "Try it." Cole hauled him up by his collar. "You want to play lawyer? Fine. I have a sworn statement from Emma detailing every bruise you gave her, every threat, every time you forced yourself into her room. Every town between here and St. Louis will know what kind of man you are." Malcolm's face went white. "You're bluffing." "Am I?" Cole shoved him back. "Leave Silver Creek, tonight. If I see you here tomorrow, I'll arrest you for assault and attempted kidnapping. And trust me, Pritchard, Western justice is a lot faster than what you're used to back east." "She's mine. She's mine," Cole snarled. "My wife. Legally married 6 weeks ago. Your guardianship is void. Now get out of my town before I forget I'm wearing a badge." Malcolm left on the midnight stage, and Cole returned home to find Emma still shaking. He gathered her into his arms, holding her while she cried. "He's gone," Cole murmured against her hair. "He'll never touch you again. I promise." You shouldn't have hit him. He could. Let him try. Cole pulled back enough to see her face. Emma, listen to me. I vowed to protect you, to teach you to love without fear. I'm not breaking that vow. Not for him, not for anyone. Emma recognized the echo of the title's promise. He'd vowed to teach her to love, and felt something inside her finally, fully relax. Teach me, she whispered. Teach me to believe I'm safe. Cole spent the next hour doing exactly that, with gentle hands and gentler words, until Emma fell asleep in his arms, finally free. 6 months later, Emma stood in the doorway of their expanded home, watching Cole repair the fence line. Her hand rested on the slight swell of her belly, and she smiled. Coffee's ready, she called. Cole looked up, his face breaking into that rare, brilliant smile he saved just for her. Coming, Mrs. Hartman. Mrs. Hartman, Emma Catherine Hartman, formerly Pritchard, the woman who'd stopped hiding and started living. The woman who'd learned that love wasn't something to fear, but something to fight for. Cole reached her, pulling her close. What are you thinking about? How glad I am you found out my secret, she admitted. How glad I am you taught me to love. Emma. He kissed her forehead. You taught me to love again. That's the real miracle. Together, they watched the sun set over Silver Creek, two broken people who'd found their way to wholeness in each other's arms. Together. Always. But peace, Emma was learning, never lasted long in the West. 2 weeks after Malcolm's departure, a letter arrived at the sheriff's office. Emma recognized the handwriting immediately. Her Aunt Constance, her mother's sister, the only family member who'd ever shown her kindness. Emma's hands trembled as she broke the seal. My dearest Emma, the letter began, I pray this reaches you safely. Malcolm has returned to St. Louis in a rage, spreading vicious rumors about your mental state and claiming you've been kidnapped by a corrupt Western lawman. More concerning, he's hired Pinkerton agents to find evidence of impropriety. He's determined to have your marriage annulled and you declared incompetent. I fear he will stop at nothing to control your inheritance. Please be careful. Your loving aunt, Constance. Emma read it twice, then a third time, before her vision blurred with tears. Cole found her at his desk, the letter crumpled in her fist. Emma, what's wrong? She handed him the letter silently. His face darkened as he read. Pinkerton agents. He's going to destroy you, Emma whispered. Your reputation, your position, all because of me. No, Cole knelt beside her chair, taking her cold hands in his. Because of him. This isn't your fault. I should have stayed hidden, should have kept pretending. And lived half a life, never knowing what we could be? Cole's grip tightened. Emma, look at me. She forced herself to meet his eyes. I don't regret a single moment, he said fiercely. Not one. If Pinkerton agents come, we'll deal with them. Together. That word again. Together. It was becoming their lifeline. What if they find something? Emma's voice was small. What if they twist the truth? Make it look like you took advantage of me? Then we'll fight back with the real truth. Cole stood, pulling her up with him. You're not a victim, Emma. You're a survivor. And I'm not some corrupt lawman. We have nothing to hide. But Emma couldn't shake the dread settling in her stomach. The Pinkerton agent arrived 3 days later. His name was James Morrison, and he was nothing like Emma expected. Instead of menacing, he was mild-mannered, polite, almost apologetic. He checked into the hotel and spent his first day simply observing the town, asking casual questions, taking notes in a small leather book. Cole watched him from the sheriff's office window. He's good. Not pushing, not making accusations, just gathering information. What kind of information? Emma asked, anxiety making her voice tight. Anything he can use. When we met, how we met, whether anyone witnessed improper behavior. Cole turned to her. Emma, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest. She nodded. Are you happy, truly happy being married to me? The question startled her. Of course I am. Cole, how can you even… Because that's what matters. Not what Malcolm says, not what some investigator writes in his report. What you feel. He crossed to her, cupping her face in his hands. If anyone asks you, Morrison, a judge, anyone, I need you to tell them the truth, that you chose this, that you chose me. I did choose you, Emma said fiercely, and I'd choose you again, every single day. Cole kissed her, slow and deep, pouring everything he felt into it. When they broke apart, Emma was breathless. Good, he murmured, because I'm not letting you go without a fight. That evening, James Morrison knocked on the sheriff's office door. Cole opened it, his expression neutral. Mr. Morrison, what can I do for you? Sheriff Hartman, I was hoping we could have a conversation. Morrison's smile was pleasant, but his eyes were sharp. About Mrs. Emma Hartman. Emma stood from her desk in the corner, her spine straight. You mean Emma Catherine Pritchard? That's who you're investigating, isn't it? Morrison blinked, clearly surprised she'd addressed him directly. Mrs. Hartman, yes, I've been retained by Malcolm Pritchard to investigate the circumstances of your departure from St. Louis. My escape, you mean? Emma moved to stand beside Cole. I'm not fragile or confused, Mr. Morrison. I fled because Malcolm Pritchard was abusing me and attempting to force me into marriage to steal my inheritance. That's a serious accusation. It's the truth. Emma rolled up her sleeve, showing the faded scar. He did this, and worse. I have documentation if you'd like to see it. Morrison's expression shifted, something like discomfort crossing his features. I see. And your marriage to Sheriff Hartman? Was my choice, Emma interrupted. My free, willing, enthusiastic choice. He never pressured me, never took advantage. He protected me when no one else would. You understand I'll need to verify these claims. Morrison pulled out his notebook. I'll need to speak with people in town, gather statements. Do what you need to do, Cole said evenly. We have nothing to hide. But Morrison, if you're planning to twist the truth to suit Malcolm Pritchard's agenda, you should know I'll fight back. And I don't fight fair when it comes to protecting my wife. Morrison studied Cole for a long moment. I'm not in the business of fabricating evidence, Sheriff. I find the truth, whatever it is. If Mr. Pritchard has been lying to me… He closed his notebook. Well, that changes things considerably. He left and Emma sagged against Cole. Do you think he believed us? I think he's a professional. He'll investigate properly. Cole wrapped his arms around her. And the truth is on our side. Over the next week, Morrison interviewed half the town. The general store owner, who testified that Emma had always been hardworking and respectful. The boarding house keeper, who confirmed Emma had lived modestly and kept to herself. The minister who married them, who stated that Emma had been clear-eyed and certain in her vows. But it was Dr. Sarah Chen, the town's physician, who provided the most damning evidence against Malcolm. Emma had visited her once, 3 months ago, for a persistent cough. During the examination, Dr. Chen had noticed the scars and, with gentle questioning, gotten Emma to tell the truth about their origin. I documented everything, Dr. Chen told Morrison, showing him her medical records. Old bruises in various stages of healing, consistent with repeated physical assault. Defensive wounds on her forearms. A poorly healed fracture in her left wrist that she said came from being grabbed and twisted. That's not mental fragility, Mr. Morrison. That's abuse. Morrison spent a long time reading those records. On his last day in Silver Creek, he requested a final meeting with Emma and Cole. They met in the sheriff's office at sunset, golden lights slanting through the windows. "I've completed my investigation," Morrison said, without preamble. "And I'll be honest with you both. I came here expecting to find evidence of coercion or impropriety. That's what Mr. Pritchard claimed." Emma's heart hammered. "But what I found was a woman who made a brave choice to escape an abusive situation, and a lawman who helped her build a new life. Your marriage appears to be legitimate and consensual." Morrison paused. "I've also uncovered evidence that Mr. Pritchard has been accessing Miss Pritchard's, Mrs. Hartman's, trust fund inappropriately. He's been embezzling from her inheritance for at least 2 years." Emma gasped. "What?" "He needed your marriage to legitimize his access permanently. Without it, he's facing criminal charges." Morrison's smile was thin. "I may work for him now, but I'll be turning this information over to the authorities in St. Louis. My report will state clearly that you are of sound mind, that your marriage is valid, and that Malcolm Pritchard is the criminal in this situation." Relief flooded through Emma so intensely she felt dizzy. Cole's arm came around her waist, steadying her. "Thank you," she managed. Morrison nodded. "I hope you'll both be very happy. You deserve it." He tipped his hat and left. Emma turned into Cole's chest, shaking. "It's over. It's really over." "It's over," Cole confirmed, holding her tight. "You're free, Emma. Truly free." That night, they celebrated quietly, just the two of them. Cole cooked dinner, his terrible coffee but excellent stew, and Emma laughed more than she had in weeks. Later, as they lay tangled together in bed, Emma traced the scars on Cole's chest. "Tell me about this one," she said softly, touching a raised line over his ribs. Cole was quiet for a moment. "Knife fight in Abilene. I was 24, stupid, thought I was invincible. And this," she touched another, near his shoulder. "Bullet. Bank robbery gone wrong." Emma kissed each scar gently. "You've been hurt so many times. So have you." Cole caught her hand, pressing it over his heart. "But we're healing. Together." There was that word again. "I love you," Emma whispered. "I don't think I've said it enough. I love you, Cole Hartman. You taught me what love should be, safe and strong and free." Cole's eyes shone in the lamplight. "You taught me I could love again without fear. That's worth more than anything." He kissed her then, and Emma felt the last of her fear finally dissolve. But their peace was shattered a month later when a rider came thundering into Silver Creek, his horse lathered and exhausted. He went straight to the sheriff's office. "Sheriff Hartman, there's been an attack on the Dennison Ranch. Raiders, maybe 15 men. They've taken hostages." Cole was on his feet instantly. "Who?" "Old man Dennison, his wife, their daughter Katie. The hands fought back, but end." The rider swallowed hard. "Most of them are dead, Sheriff. These men weren't ordinary bandits. They were organized, professional." Emma's blood ran cold. "Cole, I know." His face was grim. He started gathering weapons, rifles, ammunition, his deputy's badge. "Emma, stay here. Lock the doors." "No." She stood, moving to the gun cabinet. "I'm coming with you." "Absolutely not. It's too dangerous. You taught me to shoot, to track, to defend myself." Emma loaded a rifle with steady hands. "Those are our neighbors, Cole. Katie Dennison is 19 years old. I'm not staying here while you ride into danger alone." "Emma, together," she said firmly. "Remember? That's what we promised." Cole stared at her, conflict warring in his eyes. Then he nodded slowly. "Together. But you stay close to me, understand? And if I tell you to run, you run. If you tell me to run, we both run," Emma countered. A ghost of a smile touched his lips. "Deal." They rode out with a posse of 6 men, all that could be spared on short notice. The Dennison Ranch was 15 miles south, and they pushed their horses hard, arriving just after midnight. The ranch house was dark, ominously silent. Bodies lay in the yard. Ranch hands cut down in the initial attack. Emma's stomach churned. But she forced herself to stay focused. Cole dismounted silently, signaling the others to spread out. He moved like a predator, every sense alert, and Emma stayed on his heels as they approached the house. The front door hung open, splintered. Inside, the destruction was complete. Furniture overturned, valuables stolen, blood on the walls. But no bodies, no hostages. "They took them somewhere else," Cole murmured. He knelt, examining tracks in the dust, heading east, toward the canyon. "Why take hostages?" one of the posse members asked. "Why not just rob and run?" "Because they want something specific," Emma realized. "The Dennisons own the largest cattle operation in 3 counties. This is about ransom." Cole looked at her sharply. "Or about sending a message. The canyon has a dozen places to ambush anyone who follows." "Then we'll be careful." Emma checked her rifle. "But we're still going." They tracked the raiders through the night, following signs only Cole could read. Broken branches, disturbed earth, the occasional hoofprint. As dawn broke, they reached the mouth of Red Rock Canyon, a narrow gorge with high stone walls. "This is wrong," Cole said, studying the entrance. "Too quiet. They'd have posted sentries." Emma felt it too, a wrongness in the air, a sense of being watched. "It's a trap. Definitely a trap." Cole turned to the posse. "We need another way in. Emma, you remember the geological surveys you organized for me last month?" She nodded, understanding immediately. "The old mining trails. They connect to the canyon from above." "Exactly." Cole began giving orders, splitting the group. 3 men would approach from the front, making noise, drawing attention. Cole, Emma, and 2 others would come from above, using the element of surprise. It was a good plan, a solid plan. It almost worked. They made it to the canyon rim without detection, looking down on the raiders' camp. Emma counted 16 men, all armed. The Dennisons were tied to a wagon wheel, looking terrified but alive. Cole signaled, and they began their descent, moving from rock to rock with agonizing slowness. They were 20 feet from the canyon floor when a rifle shot rang out. "Ambush!" Cole roared, shoving Emma behind a boulder as bullets sparked off stone around them. The trap had a second layer, sentries hidden in the rocks, waiting for anyone stupid enough to try the high approach. "They knew," Emma gasped, pressing flat against stone. "Someone told them." "Later!" Cole returned fire, his shots precise and deadly. 2 raiders went down, but more were coming, scrambling up the rocks toward their position. The next few minutes were chaos. Gunfire echoed off canyon walls, deafening. Emma fired her rifle mechanically, exactly as Cole had taught her. Breathe, aim, squeeze. A raider fell. Then another. Her hands were steady, even as her heart raced. But there were too many of them. "Cole!" she screamed, as 3 men rushed their position at once. Cole fought like a demon, shooting, reloading, using his rifle as a club when they got too close. But one man got through, lunging at Emma with a knife. She didn't think, just reacted. Dropped her rifle, drew the small pistol Cole had given her for emergencies, and fired point-blank into the man's chest. He went down, eyes wide with surprise. Emma stared at what she'd done, horror and adrenaline warring in her gut. "Emma!" Cole grabbed her arm, pulling her back to cover. "Stay with me." More gunfire, more screaming. Then, blessedly, the sound of reinforcements. The 3 men from the front approach, plus what sounded like half of Silver Creek behind them. The tide turned quickly after that. The raiders, realizing they were outnumbered, tried to flee. Most were captured or killed. A few escaped into the desert, but Cole didn't chase them. His only concern was Emma. He found her sitting on a rock, shaking, her dress splattered with blood. None of it hers. "Emma." He knelt in front of her, searching for injuries. "Are you hurt?" "I killed him." Her voice was hollow. "That man, I killed him. You defended yourself. That's different." Cole took the pistol gently from her trembling fingers. "Emma, look at me." She raised her eyes, and they were full of tears. "You did what you had to do," Cole said quietly. "What I taught you to do, to survive. And because of you, we won. The denizens are safe. We're safe." "It doesn't feel like winning." "I know." He pulled her into his arms, holding her as she shook. "God, Emma, I know. The first time is always the hardest, but you're alive. That's what matters." The ride back to Silver Creek was subdued. The denizens were reunited with their surviving ranch hands, grateful but grief-stricken. The captured raiders were locked up, awaiting trial, and Emma rode in silence, leaning against Cole's chest, trying to process what had happened. That night, she couldn't sleep, couldn't close her eyes without seeing that man's face, the moment the life left his eyes. Cole held her through the nightmares, whispering reassurances. "You're not a killer, Emma. You're a survivor. There's a difference." "How do you live with it?" she asked. "Knowing you've taken lives?" "By remembering the lives I've saved." Cole kissed her forehead. "You saved those people today. Katie Dennison is alive because of you. That has to count for something." "Does it get easier?" "No," he said honestly. "But you learn to carry it, and you don't carry it alone. I'm here, Emma. Always." Over the next few weeks, Emma slowly recovered. Dr. Chen helped, explaining that her reaction was normal, healthy even. "It means you're human," the doctor said kindly. "That you value life. Don't lose that, Emma." Katie Dennison visited, bringing wildflowers and tears of gratitude. "You saved my life," she said simply. "I'll never forget that." Emma hugged her and felt some of the darkness lift. The investigation into the raid revealed something troubling. One of the raiders, under interrogation, admitted they'd been hired. Someone had paid them to attack the Dennison Ranch specifically. "Who?" Cole demanded. The raider shook his head. "Never saw his face. Everything was through intermediaries. But he had money. Eastern money, by the sound of his speech." Emma's blood ran cold. "Malcolm." Cole's jaw tightened. "Can't prove it, not without more evidence." "But you know it's true." "Yeah." Cole looked at her, fury and protectiveness warring in his expression. "I know. He's not going to stop," Emma realized. "Even from St. Louis, even facing criminal charges, he won't stop trying to hurt me. Then we heard him first. Cole's voice was steel. Your Aunt Constance, she testified against him in the embezzlement investigation? Emma nodded. Then we get her to testify about the abuse too. Build a case so strong that Malcolm Pritchard spends the rest of his life in prison. Cole took her hands. But Emma, it means going back, facing him in court. Terror clawed at her throat. I don't know if I can. You can. Cole's faith in her was absolute. You faced down armed raiders. You killed a man to protect yourself. You're stronger than you know. And I'll be right there beside you. Every moment. Emma thought about it for a long time. Thought about Katie Dennison. About all the other women Malcolm might hurt if he stayed free. Thought about the life she wanted to build with Cole. A life without always looking over her shoulder. All right, she said finally. Let's end this. Together. Together, Cole echoed, and kissed her like she was his entire world. 3 weeks later, they boarded the train to St. Louis. Emma wore a traveling suit in deep blue, and Cole wore his badge and a determined expression. In Emma's carpetbag were Dr. Chen's medical records, sworn statements from Silver Creek residents, and Morrison's investigation report. In her heart was something new. Not just love for Cole, but love for herself, for the woman she'd become, the woman who didn't hide anymore. As the train pulled out of the station, Emma looked back at Silver Creek one last time, then turned to face forward, toward the future, toward justice, toward freedom. With Cole's hand in hers, she was ready for anything. The St. Louis courthouse was everything Emma remembered. Imposing, cold, designed to intimidate. But she walked through its doors with her head high, Cole at her side, and refused to be afraid. Malcolm was already there, his lawyer beside him. When he saw Emma, rage flashed across his face before he mastered it, replacing it with a mask of concerned guardianship. Emma, darling, he said, voice dripping false warmth. You look well. I've been so worried. Save it, Cole interrupted, his voice hard. The only thing you'll be saying to my wife is through your lawyer or on the witness stand. Malcolm's mask slipped again. Your wife? That marriage is a farce. She wasn't competent to consent. I was competent, Emma said clearly, loud enough for everyone in the corridor to hear. I am competent, and every claim you've made is a lie, designed to cover your own crimes. The trial lasted 3 days. Emma testified first, walking the jury through years of abuse. The bruises Malcolm explained away as clumsiness, the isolation from friends, the financial control, the threats. Her voice only wavered once, when describing the night he'd broken her wrist. Cole sat in the gallery, his presence an anchor, and whenever Emma's courage faltered, she found his eyes and drew strength from them. Aunt Constance testified next, confirming everything Emma said and adding her own observations. I knew something was wrong, she said, tears streaming down her face. But I was afraid of him too. I'm so sorry, Emma. Dr. Chen's medical records were entered as evidence. Morrison's investigation exposed Malcolm's embezzlement. The prosecution built a case so thorough, so damning, that Malcolm's lawyer looked ill. On the 3rd day, Malcolm took the stand in his own defense. It was a mistake. Under cross-examination, his mask crumbled completely. He raged about Emma's ingratitude, her betrayal, her duty to marry him. He claimed the inheritance was rightfully his, that he'd earned it by caring for her. She was nothing when I took her in, he spat. A frightened little girl. I made her into something worthwhile, and this is how she repays me? The jury's expressions turned from skeptical to disgusted. "You think she loves that cowboy sheriff?" Malcolm continued, ignoring his lawyer's frantic gestures to stop talking. "She's just using him like she tried to use me. She's manipulative, calculated." "Objection!" Emma's lawyer called, but Malcolm was beyond stopping. "I should have locked her up when I had the chance," Malcolm snarled, looking directly at Emma. "Should have had you committed, broken you properly." The judge's gavel crashed down. "That's enough. Mr. Pritchard, sit down before I hold you in contempt." But the damage was done. Malcolm had revealed himself completely. The jury deliberated for less than 2 hours. Guilty on all counts: embezzlement, assault, attempted fraud, and conspiracy to commit kidnapping. The judge sentenced him to 20 years in prison. As the bailiffs led Malcolm away, he looked at Emma one last time. The hatred in his eyes should have terrified her. Instead, Emma felt only pity. He'd spent so much energy trying to control her, to own her, and in the end, he'd lost everything. She was free. Outside the courthouse, Emma stood on the steps, breathing in the St. Louis air that no longer felt suffocating. Cole wrapped an arm around her waist. "How do you feel?" he asked quietly. "Light," Emma said wonderingly, "like I've been carrying a boulder and finally put it down." "Good." He kissed her temple. "Ready to go home?" Home. Silver Creek, with its dusty streets and open sky. The sheriff's office that smelled like coffee and leather. Their little room where she felt safer than anywhere else on earth. "Yes," she said, "I'm ready." They took the evening train, watching St. Louis disappear behind them. Emma leaned against Cole's shoulder, his arms solid and warm around her. "Thank you," she whispered, "for everything. For believing me, for protecting me, for loving me." "Emma." Cole tilted her face up to his. "You don't have to thank me for loving you. It's as natural as breathing. You're my life now, my future, my everything. And you're mine." She kissed him softly. "You taught me to love without fear, Cole. You taught me I was worth fighting for. You always were. You just needed someone to show you." They arrived in Silver Creek 3 days later to a hero's welcome. The town had followed the trial in the newspapers, and half the population turned out to greet them. Katie Dennison brought flowers. Dr. Chen brought congratulations. Even the grumpy old mayor cracked a smile. That night, alone in their home again, Emma and Cole made love with a new kind of freedom. No shadows, no fear. Just two people who'd fought their way to happiness and won. Afterward, as they lay tangled together, Emma traced patterns on Cole's chest. "What are you thinking?" he murmured. "That I want to expand my work at the office. Maybe help other women who are in situations like I was." Emma looked up at him. "We could create a fund. Help them escape. Give them new starts." Cole smiled. "That's a perfect idea. We'll call it the Fresh Start Fund." "And I want a family." Emma's hand drifted to her belly. "Children who grow up knowing they're loved, who never have to be afraid." "How many children?" Cole's voice was warm with amusement. "As many as we're blessed with." "Then we'd better start working on that." He kissed her, deep and slow, and Emma laughed against his mouth. 6 months later, Emma stood in the sheriff's office, now expanded to include a small consultation room where she met with women seeking help. She was showing slightly. Her pregnancy just beginning to be visible. Katie Dennison sat across from her, talking about starting a women's literacy program. "You inspired me," Katie said shyly. "The way you helped yourself, how you help others now. I want to do that too." Emma squeezed her hand. "You can, and I'll help you." Cole entered with coffee. Still terrible, but Emma had learned to love it anyway, and kissed Emma's cheek before setting the cup down. "Got a telegram," he said, handing it to Emma. "From your aunt." Emma read it quickly, then smiled. "Aunt Constance is getting married. To Morrison, the Pinkerton agent. Apparently they fell in love during the trial." Cole laughed. "Love finds a way, I guess." "It does." Emma stood, moving into his arms. "Even in the darkest circumstances, love finds a way." "Especially then," Cole murmured, resting a hand on her belly. "Because love is what makes us brave." Emma thought about the journey that had brought her here. The fear, the hiding, the violence, the desperation. Then she thought about what came after. The discovery, the trust, the fighting, the healing. She'd pretended to be illiterate to escape her guardian. But Cole had found out her secret, and instead of exposing her, he'd vowed to teach her something far more important than reading and writing. He'd vowed to teach her to love herself, her life, her future. And he'd kept that vow. "I love you," she said simply. "I love you too," Cole replied. "My brilliant, brave, beautiful wife." Through the window, Emma could see Silver Creek going about its day. People working, children playing, life continuing in all its messy, wonderful complexity. She'd found her place in this world, not as someone's ward or possession, but as herself, Emma Catherine Hartman. Sheriff's wife, women's advocate, survivor, fighter, lover, friend, and soon, mother. Together with Cole, she was building something Malcolm had tried to destroy, a life of her own choosing, full of love and purpose and hope. She'd learned to read before she ever came to Silver Creek, but Cole had taught her the most important lesson of all, how to write her own story. And it was turning out to be a beautiful one. Thank you so much for listening to this story. I'd love to know where you're enjoying this tale from. Are you listening at home, during your commute, or perhaps while working? Please subscribe to the From Wild West channel and share your thoughts in the comments below. What did you think of Emma and Cole's journey? Your feedback means the world to us.